everyone, welcome back to EDH Deck Building. I'm your host, Demo, and these are the 5 most hated strategies in Commander. And I know people are going to say, hey, didn't you just do a video on this a little while ago? Yes, I did. Which strategy do you hate most in Commander? And I didn't actually make a list. I sort of left it open to discussion, and I wanted a lot of people to comment, and a lot of people did. And I read the comments. I read most of them. I read a lot, not all in one sitting. I think there's over 500 comments on that video as of right now. You know, I'd read a few every day. I go through my comments and I read. And of course, that's one of the videos, as I suspected, that people will comment a lot on. And I sort of did a tally of what people really don't like. And so this is essentially, like, you just think of it as a poll or something. I did a survey of a whole bunch of players, everyone that watched that video, and they commented on which one they didn't like the most. And now I'm tallying the votes and I'm telling everybody the answers that I got the most of. So as an honorable mention, Infinite Combo. And again, the, Kiki Jiki Deceiver Exarch type of thing where I just put 2 cards in play and away I go and it's game over. I'm using it as an honorable mention because there definitely is a lot of people that don't like it. But for me and for the people that commented, again, a lot of people were saying, is it even casual? Is an Infinite Combo casual? Is it not? I don't know. For me, I don't love it. If I'm playing a casual game and somebody Kiki Jikis and wins the game, I'm like, oh, lame. I just don't love that sort of thing in a casual game. Maybe if they have like a 3 or 4 card combo, I'm a little more impressed. I don't know. Maybe it's the cards they're using. Is it the cards they're using? If someone Kiki Jikis, that combos with like 30 different cards, that's not very impressive at all. We've all seen it before, but if some guy sets up some really interesting, cool infinite combo that ends the game, maybe that's better? Yeah, I don't know. It's up for discussion. But getting to the list, here's the top 5 responses that I got. Coming in at number 5, Landfall, and I didn't even include this in my list. Basically just a lands deck, and I don't disagree. There's definitely a ton of Landfall decks out there, or Lands Matters decks. Certainly there's a ton of Lands Matters Commanders. Man, there's got to be at least a dozen now, maybe more. And the big beef that people have, again, in a casual game with a lands deck is you don't have a lot of recourse. Because people frown on land destruction in casual games, it basically allows the lands player to just go off and do whatever they want. It's like I said about banning certain strategies in your play group, right? If you ban a certain strategy in your pod, now your opponents don't have to worry about it, right? That's what most people do in a casual game with a lands deck. They don't have to worry about the Armageddon, so they can just go nuts and put 30 lands in play, and there's no downside. If someone cast an Armageddon, now they've just pretty much ended the game for themselves because they don't have any lands left in their deck. So I think that's a lot of the beef that people have with lands decks, and I gotta say I don't disagree. Coming in at number 4, Counterspell. Shocking, right? I mean, we all know everyone hates this. And again, this is sort of a guess. From the responses I got and from what people said, I'm sort of gauging. I suppose you could move some of these up and down the list. Counterspell, obviously, a lot of people really dislike it. I just did my abilities that I think Wizards of the Coast should revisit video, and Split Second was high on that list specifically for this reason. It's just nice having that card in your hand that has Split Second on it, just because you know your opponents won't be able to counter it. A lot of people play Croson Grip and they prefer it over what I would consider better artifact enchantment removal, because 3 mana to kill an artifact or enchantment isn't great, but they just love it because the Split Second means their opponents can't counter it. People really hate having their stuff countered. It's just kind of a bad feeling. The term permission gets used a lot. They used to call them permission decks back in the day, a deck that you would just pack full of counterspells, and essentially your opponent had to ask permission if they wanted to play something. It would be, okay, I'm casting this, and they would look at you and be like, am I allowed? Am I allowed to play this? And you'd be like, okay, I guess, right? And just that sort of mentality, I think, really bothers people, and for obvious reasons. Coming in at number 3, Sacrifice. And this is another one that I didn't have on my list, and it's a recent one. I gotta tell you, I have a feeling that this one was mentioned so much in the comments almost entirely because of Turgid. Turgid is the most popular commander from Kaldheim, which surprised the heck out of me. I thought it was going to be Asika for sure, or Orvar. Turgid is the most popular, and it is the 4th most popular mono black commander already. And man, just because of Turgid, I think is why people are complaining about this strategy of, I'm just going to make my opponents sacrifice all their stuff and then I get it. Yeah, I didn't even think to mention this in my video because it sort of has come out of nowhere. A sacrifice strategy, like I force my opponents to sacrifice. I mean, I guess it did exist before. You could use your Dictate of Erebos, your Grave Pact, that kind of stuff. But you didn't have it on a commander, so it was a little difficult to build your deck around and actually have an entire strategy. But now you do have a commander for that, so I can definitely see how people are getting annoyed by it. Coming in at number 2, and I'm sure not anyone's going to be surprised by the top 2, is STAX. And, you know, a lot of people sort of compare STAX to the I want to play Magic. You're stopping me from playing Magic. And I would argue that a Kiki Jiki and a Deceiver Exarch are also stopping you from playing Magic because the game's just over. You're not playing Magic if the game's over. And I know a lot of people make the argument of, I would rather have the Kiki Jiki and Deceiver Exarch because then we all just scoop up and shuffle and play again than a Winter Orb's in play and it drags the game out. Okay, but if I'm playing the OG Chromium deck and I can't even get my commander out until turn 8, maybe I don't want to see a Kiki Jiki and a Deceiver Exarch because we're going to be scooping and shuffling and playing again every single game before I can get my commander out. So in a casual game where I want the game to last a long time so I can actually get my very expensive commander out and actually do something with it, I think STAX is probably better. In a game where I have an 8-drop commander, I probably want the game to go a lot longer. And we're getting into a little bit of the what's casual and what's not sort of argument. How long is a casual game supposed to last? I mean, for me, it's got to last at least 10 turns. I don't know, less than 10 turns, not very casual. I'm sort of getting into the what format are we playing argument again, but if you want the game to last only 4 or 5 turns, boy, Modern seems great for you. That's probably the format you should be playing. I don't know. But anyway, to each his own. But to me, I would much rather see a STAX piece in a game or even an entire STAX deck, because then at least I have an opportunity to work around the problem rather than the game's just over. And coming in at number 1, to probably no one's surprise, is Mass Land Destruction. And again, this plays into the reason why Landfall's at number 5, because everyone hates Mass Land Destruction and doesn't want to see it in a casual game, which allows the lands deck to go nuts, obviously. And again, this all stems from I want to play Magic. And if you destroy all my lands, then I can't play Magic. And I can't fault people for that. I get it. I understand the hatred for it, but at the same time, I will say this. There is a lot of people that I read in the comments that were okay with the Mass Land Destruction as long as their opponent won the game. Like, not just, I destroy all the lands and then we all just sit here. Same with the STAX. I lock down the game and then we all just sit here staring at each other. A lot of people were really okay with the Mass Land Destruction as long as you had a way to win the game within the next couple turns, so everyone wasn't just sitting around doing nothing. Or I'm okay with the STAX as long as you have a way to win the game, right? You want to lock the game down, fine, but hopefully you're drawing that Approach of the Second Sun in a couple of turns and it's going to be all over. Or you want to cast that Armageddon, okay, but you have a Teferi's Protection or a Boros Charm, so your lands don't get destroyed and everyone else's does, and so then you can close out the game pretty quick after that. I think a lot of people maybe are more okay with that, and it makes sense. You know, if I cast an Armageddon and destroy everyone else's lands, advantage me, and now I can go nuts, to me that's no difference than someone casting an Expropriate. And I'm going to take a bunch of turns and steal everyone's stuff, right? That's just a massive advantage for one person. You know, I'm casting a spell and giving a massive advantage to me, and everyone else has to try and catch up, but probably are just going to end up losing the game. To me, that sort of all falls into the same category. And again, yeah, I was the guy who was like, no way I want to see Armageddon in a casual game. But now, maybe I'm warming up to the idea. For me, if I had to pick one, I'm not going to sit on the fence here now. I think the Counterspell one, for me, is the one that would bug me the most. The guy who's playing the Baral deck and has 40 Counterspells in his deck and is just telling people, no, you can't, no, you can't, no, you can't. It's just kind of annoying more than anything. You want to destroy my lands? Okay, I'll try to dig myself out of a hole. You want to play a Winter Orb or a Stasis? Okay, that sucks, but you know, maybe I can dig myself out of it. Maybe I can solve that problem. A guy just sitting there countering everything, I don't know, that just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Again, another video open for lots of discussion. I just thought it would be interesting. Hey, why don't I tabulate sort of the comments that people made on that video and see what really is the strategies that people tend to hate most. So that is it for today, and thanks for tuning in.